Professor Waldirene Ribeiro do Carmo is a geographer, graduated from University of São Paulo, obtained her Master of Science in 2010 and doctorate at Geography in 2016 from the same university. Since 2002, she is a voluntary researcher at the Center for Tactile Cartography of Universidade Tecnológica Metropolitana in Santiago, Chile. Waldirene works at the Laboratory of Geography Education and Teaching Materials in the Department of Geography, Faculty of Philosophy, Languages and Human Sciences at the University of São Paulo. Since 1995 as researcher and is responsible for projects and activities. She is chair of the Commission on Maps and Graphics for Blind and Partially Sighted People. So thank you again, Professor Waldirene, and it's your time.
First, I would like to thank you for the invitation to participated in the event and say that it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. You can see my presentation? It's okay?
Yes, yes.
Well, the title I chose for my presentation, Cartography Accessible to Disabled People, is the name that I want to propose soon to the Commission. I think it would be a better name for today because the Commission relates to research and the production of cartography that responds to needs of people with sensory impairment, learning problems, reduced mobility, senior adults, among others. This cartography may be made by take the shape of tactile maps, audio maps, GPS, or mobile maps, and multisensory maps. To start, I would like to talk a little bit about the history of tactile maps. Tactile maps have been produced and used for a long time. One of the oldest surviving tactile maps belonged to the blind composer and singer Maria Teresa von Paradis. It's an ordinary map printed in several colors with embroidered builder threads making roads, watercourses, frontiers, and places, while different sizes buttons indicated towns and cities. Dated 1800s, the map is in the Museum of the Blind in Vienna. That is an interesting story. She was Maria Teresa von Paradis was a accomplished Austrian musician who was blind. She gave piano concerts throughout Europe. Maria studied the tactile maps made for her boyfriend to prepare for her travels. Threads placed over the road lines on a map indicated the route that she would be traveling. Beds represented the cities where she would be stopping. This slide shows the tactile atlas printed in the 1800s of Perkins School. During the 19th century, European schools developed a variety of methods of producing tactile maps. Special pincushions were designed with which students could reproduce geometric patterns and simple outline maps. In the United States, the first efforts at tactile map production were those for Samuel Gridley Howell of the Perkins the Perkins School for the Blind in Watertown, Massachusetts. His work resulted in the publication in the 1800s of a tactile atlas of the United States, which contained the first tactile maps ever to mass produced. To the best of our knowledge, this is the first atlas produced for the blind to read without the assistance of a sighted person. This slide shows a map of the state of São Paulo to caved in wood of the beginning of the 20th century. In Brazil, geography was presented in the curriculum of the Benjamin Constant Institute, which is the first school for the blind in the country. Since the beginnings of this story, and it's possible to find the historical reports to description of maps in relief made in wood and tactile globes made of iron. Many of these maps are preserved and available at the Benjamin Constant Institute Museum. I think it's also important to bring a definition of tactile cartography. Tactile cartography is an area that is dedicated to research on the production and the use of cartography representation adapted to specific needs of the people with visual impairment, but they can and should use it by everyone, enable one inclusive and learning apprentissage. And also a definition of what tactile maps are. Maps are graphical representation of space, and they are called tactile maps when in a format by sensed by touch. There are two main groups of tactile maps, based on the purpose, scale, and features: orientation and mobility maps, and geographical maps. This slide shows two maps. One map of tactile map of Santa Cecília subway surrounds and a tactile map of Itaú Cultural of São Paulo, Brazil. These maps are directed only to blind and several low vision people who needed to be aware to the physical environment navigate in space. An orientation maps gives an overview of the area. Mobility maps, as the name suggests, provide the kind of detailed information that is needed if the person to move safely through the environment. Mobility maps shows obstacles to be avoided as well as elements to be such as sidewalks or elevators. They depict indoor and outdoor environments using in larger scale representation of buildings, routes, streets, transportations, networks, neighborhoods, and recreation areas. This slide shows geographical maps, physical maps of the world, and a map in the continental world's map. Geographical maps represented larger areas in much smaller scale and than mobility maps. General reference maps include political and physical tactile maps, ranging from cities, states, and countries to the whole globe. Tactile topographical maps are relief models, also produced in colored plastic for the sighted usage, which need adaptation for the blind by having all symbols in high-res format. Thematic maps portray qualitative and quantitative geographical information in tactile form. They show the location, pattern, and structure of geospatial data on a wide variety of themes, such as population, industry, climate, and distribution of vegetation, at all scales from local and regional to global. These types of maps are important teaching researchers at schools, and they should be directed to all students, not only to those with visual impairment. At this time of innovative digital technologies, old-fashioned tactile maps still have an important role inside the classroom. Tactile maps can be used with 3D models with or without sounds, as motivating and interesting strategies for geography teaching. Understanding the importance of the tactile cartography, in August 1984, the International Cartographic Association established a commission, Tactile Map, with the objectives of to foster production of tactile and low-vision maps as a part of national mapping program of every ICA member country, to involve cartographers in tactile and low-vision mapping to make cartography the focus for all disciplines and agencies involved in tactile and low-vision maps. Before talking about the goals we established for the period from 2019 to 2023, it is important to say that our vice chair is Professor Alejandra Coll from Chile. We proposed a plan of the Commission to disseminate information about cartography accessible to disabled people to the EICA member nations through publications, joint meetings, seminars, and websites. To coordinate activities with commissions of other international organizations according with the interest of the aim of the objectives of the ICA. To coordinate activities with other ICA commissions for the purpose of sharing experience, adding to, adapting, and building up the potential of geocartographic knowledge in the various forms of multisensory expression. To continue the implementation of the ICA Third World Policy, by providing experts for workshops and in developing countries requested about cartography accessible to disabled people, to encourage and support underrepresented groups to take an active role in professional activities and or associations at national, international level. The next slide shows the work of the Commission and courses for teachers in many parts of the countries in Latin America. The Commission on Maps and Graphics for Blind and Partially Sighted People offers diverse courses in partnership with researchers from the Tactile Cartography Center at the Metropolitan Technological University of Santiago in Chile. This slide shows a course in Chile in 2018. The professors are doing many activities with tactile maps. In this slide, we can see photos of a course in Dominican Republic in 2019. A group of participation in the courses and the teachers doing activities in the course. This slide, we can see a course in Ecuador in 2019. Concluding, the tactile cartography brings countless possibilities of application in education and in the daily life of impaired and not impaired students. Thus, it contributes for the visually impaired students have the same opportunities as the individuals who can see. The utilization of tactile graphics representation in regular classes is beneficial for all the individuals. The seers are able to understand better the three-dimensional representation, and the visually impaired students feel totally included. Despite the importance of these maps, I think they are still underused, at least in countries outside the richest blocks. So the Commission has a longer work to in the coming years to disseminate information about cartography accessible to disabled people. Here we have the references that I used and your contacts. For more information about the Commission and our activity, contact us and follow us on the social medias. Thank you so much.